Okay.
So I am doing, this is Susan Heese, I am doing the contemplative this morning. Rev Angelica's talk is titled These Hands, and it immediately made me think of a song by Jewel called Hands. And so I have taken from that song. The song was, I think, written in like 1998, so it's 20 years old. And it's still, you know, as all truth is, it's still true. It still works. So after I read the meditation, there will be a minute of silence, and then Jackson will sing us into the invocation. So right now, I just, after all of our little rough starts getting here this morning, I just invite you to take a couple of breaths and relax, let go of everything that's happened before this moment. And take these words into your heart and think about what they mean to you. Hands by Jewel. If I could tell the world just one thing, it would be that we're all okay, and not to worry, because worry is wasteful and useless in times like these. I won't be made useless. I won't be idle with despair. I will gather myself around my faith, for light does the darkness most fear. My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours. They are my own, and I am never broken. Our hands seem small, I know, but we are never broken. We are God's eyes, God's mind, God's heart. We are God's hands.
I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
And yes, we are truly loved. We are truly loved by the divine that resides within each one of us. And we are love. And our hands do the work of love. They might seem small individually, but collectively they are large. They are humongous and strong and get things done that need to be done. As our heart leads our hands, we work for a better environment, for a better community, for a better world. And I know this is true because we are all grounded in the one life. We are all grounded in the truth of who we really are. We are godlings. We are magnificent, and we are beautiful. And so I know that even though we come together digitally, we are together in heart and mind and soul. And so I let this celebration, I bless it, I let it go in its right and perfect way because there is no other way in God. And so it is.
I long to show you all the the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
And now I don't know what happened to all my pictures, but it's now time for Rev Angelica to speak.
Thank you, Susan and Jackson, for the contemplative. That was good. So I am going to, our talk this morning is called, come on, These Hands. I'm going to read you a little piece that Reverend David Alt in the Atlanta, who used to be the senior pastor of the Atlanta Church, wrote yesterday, I believe. Oh no, it's David Alexander. He is the pastor of the Atlanta Church. And he says, fires of rage in our cities burn. The pain of injustice in our stomachs churn. The Holy Spirit ignited me the capacity to see that this is your work, so that I may do our work. Have I not known such pain, frustration, boiling point rage? Am I unfamiliar with being fed up? Holy Spirit, ignite in me the capacity to see. Racism is a disease that is spread. Whiteness is my cross, and this is the sound of Pentecost. Probably, like me, most of you have seen on the news all of the protests and the rioting that have been going on across our country. I saw on my ministers list this morning that some of the churches, none of the churches in Southern California have been damaged, but the towns that they're in have been. Banks have been burned, police departments burned, city halls burned, all kinds of destruction that is not necessary. You know, one of the most wonderful protests I ever saw was one during that Arab Spring, when I can't remember what country it was or who it was, but people were just standing in the streets still and quiet. And I thought, wow, that is really a powerful protest. And I don't know how long they stood there. And I do know that it was successful. And I believe we have the right to protest. But how can we let ourselves take this anger into a place, you know, fighting? I know why it started. The straw that broke the camel's back was the murder of Mr. Floyd. And yet violence against violence doesn't work. I mean, it tells us right now, or it tells me as I was watching it last night, that we're still in a war-based consciousness, a might is right-based consciousness. And that's sad. And then there's all of us New Thought people and people in other churches, etc., who are praying for our country, praying for the African American and the other people of color, praying that we can live a more balanced, peaceful life. And I believe in that. And yet there's still a part of us that wants to know, what is mine to do? What can I do here? And so I want to share with you one of CSL's principles. And it is, we believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Now, we've had this as one of our principles for quite a while, and I know that eventually it is going to be this way. A complete emancipation from all discord of every nature. I remember reading a science fiction book years ago. I think it was called, it's either 2015 or 2051. I don't remember how the numbers go. But in that book was life in a sort of a utopia where people got together and talked about things and came to decisions about things. And everybody was the same, no matter what color their skin was. Everybody was treated the same. They were actually separated out in that book, I believe, by professions. So if you were a certain level of profession, then you wore one color, et cetera, et cetera. But that idea of the complete emancipation from all discord of every nature is a grand and glorious principle to have, and we all have to work it. So we ask ourselves, what is mine to do? And so just for a moment, look at your hands. Your hands are the vehicles for our thoughts to come out into the world, to be used in the world. Our hands, whether they be young or old, whether they be wrinkled or have age spots or long nails or short nails or clean or dirty, whatever, our hands are how we do things here, how we handle things. And so this is what I want you to remember, that these hands are the hands of God. And so when we're asking ourselves, what is mine to do when we're hurting for all the people that are hurting? We can remember that these are God's hands. And we can ask ourselves then, once we get into that recognition and unification that these are God's hands, we can ask ourselves, what actions am I to take to live my life's purpose? You know, it seems to me that right now our purpose is to realize how powerful our minds are and to recognize the divinity in absolutely everybody. So I wrote here, our lives are the life of the divine made manifest. Spirit works through us in the world. Spirit is working through us all the time. So here's 3 points I came up with. Well, actually, I took them from someone else who wrote them. So we're not here merely to survive. You know, right now, whether we're sitting on our couch or working in our gardens or whatever, while we're sheltered in place, it seems like we're here merely to survive, but that's not the truth. So the world is not a place to wait until we reach heaven, and it's certainly not a school. Many of us that come into New Thought have this idea that life is a school, and it's not. But yes, we're going to learn things. Yes, we're going to experience things. It's a dimension where I believe there's that Persian legend that I've told you about before, where God is making the world, the planet, and everybody who's up in heaven is an angel, and everybody is absolutely fascinated by the greenery, by the plants, by the animals that are being developed, etc., and that they're so enamored by it and, you know, looking out over the balcony so much that they fall to earth. And as they fall to earth, they lose their wings. And here is where they have to remember who they are. So this is us too. We're here to anchor ourselves in the ever-expanding good that's within us through our words, through our deeds, and our actions. And we're here to know that this ever-expanding good is not only for ourselves, but for everybody. absolutely everybody. The guy in front of Starbucks that I used to buy coffee for, that, you know, the people that we feel like are just out to ask for things or only thinking of themselves, the our beloveds, everybody. Good, this good is for absolutely everybody. And if we get into that consciousness, perhaps we won't need to have this might is right consciousness. So my second idea is we're the truth keepers. As we get into this tradition, this spiritual tradition, we first get into it because it's exciting to be able to manifest things, you know, parking spaces and mates and new homes and jobs and all that kind of stuff that we can manifest. But the real important piece of our teaching is that knowing of the sacredness of everything. And we become the truth keepers. And it's from this place of knowing that we begin to surrender to the sacred wholeness of all of life. Every single aspect of life is sacred. Even those people that I think are crazy that are breaking windows and burning buildings and setting fire to police cars and all of that, they're still sacred. It's from here that we embody love and begin to understand that part of the wholeness is the realization that above all else, we are all the beloved. We are all the beloved. We are all the truth keepers. So the third idea is that we must make use of the tools that we've been given. And what are our tools? Our mind, first and foremost, a mind to contemplate love, to meditate on peace, and to embody the oneness of absolutely everything. And then we have a physical body to experience this world with. We have a mouth to speak words of love. We have hands to take action and be of service to others. And there's more tools that we have, but these are the ones that I thought of for today. The fact that what if we were to really acknowledge that who we are and who everything is sacred? And what if we allow ourselves to not get embroiled in anything or mesmerized by anything that is unlike love? And we allowed ourselves to meditate on peace daily and to move through our earthly experience, you know, of going to the store and the gas station and all these things that we do, embodying the oneness of all of it and letting everybody else embody it too. What if we only allowed ourselves to speak words of love, even when we want to say something else? And what if we really allowed our hands to be of service to others? And for everyone, it's going to be different. I don't know what yours is. I know what mine is. Mine is to stand naked in the truth, as one of my Southern friends used to say when I was in practitioner school. To stand naked in the truth and know this too is God. All of it is God. I found this pretty picture online yesterday. It says, we don't have to engage in grand heroic actions to participate in change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. Small acts. So what would our small acts be now, today? I mean, if you're at home, maybe you might reach out and call somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time and be the loving person that you are. Maybe it's when going to the store, thank the person, the cashier, for being there to take your money. Maybe it's thanking the plants, the animals, the air, the rain that we had, just being grateful for absolutely everything. These little small acts can transform the world. And I think that it's time for us to look for those little small acts in other people, to watch for them. Instead of watching to, oh no, what's our government going to do next? Or look what's happening out in the world right now. I mean, sometimes it's hard. It's really hard to be a spiritual person in a world that looks like it's on fire. Fire with illness, fire with poverty, fire with racism, and fire with crazy people. Yet all of them are God. All of it, all of it, all of it. I have to keep reminding myself, all of it is God. And thank God for technology. So even during these times, we can be together in one way or another. So let's say this affirmation together, and then we will go into treatment. Love guides my hands in divine right action. So right now, I remember the words that Susan used in her contemplative by that song by Jewel, which I almost played for you. I was thinking about it. Remembering that these are God's hands. This is God's voice. This is God's breath. This is God's body. This is God's life. All there is God. There is nothing but God. So God's having a temper tantrum out there, it seems like. And yet inside of us, we can know the stillness. We can know the peace as we breathe deeply and remember that what God is love. Absolute, unconditional love. So I know for each one of us today and this week, as we walk this adventure called life, that we allow ourselves to pivot anytime we start going down a path of negative thinking. And we allow ourselves to come back to the center, remembering who we are. Spirit. Remembering the truth of us, that all the attributes of the divine are already within us. We don't have to look for it anywhere. We can acknowledge it, that it is absolutely everywhere. And we can come from that place of spirit in an attitude of gratitude, with a loving heart, celebrating life itself. I know for each one of us that we have an experience this week of feeling that truth, that we are the beloved, and being able to look at others and know they too are the beloved. And we see with the eyes of God into the eyes of God, and how wonderful this is. So I release these words, knowing they are already so, and so it is.